This is the moment for you to show us what is real.
Okay, so welcome everyone to another deep dive. And today we're looking at something a little different. It's a single source, just a text file that we found titled anger.txt. It's pretty intense, honestly. It digs into some, heavy stuff like power, who really has it, how they use it, and also societal divisions, all that stuff that seems to be pulling us apart these days. And then it touches on individual agency, too.
Yeah.
Like how much power do we really have in all of this?
Sounds like a heady mix.
Oh, it is. It is. And we're going to unpack all of that in this deep dive, see if we can make sense of it all. So I guess the best place to start is the beginning, right? And the opening lines of this, anger.txt, are pretty powerful. They really grab your attention.
Let's hear them.
Okay. So it starts with, they don't care about you. Not even for a second.
Wow. That's pretty blunt, straight to the point. It definitely sets a tone, doesn't it? One of distrust and disillusionment. It's almost like it's speaking to a very specific audience, people who are already feeling this way.
Yeah, I think you're right. And then it gets even more interesting because it goes on to name some very recognizable figures.
Oh, really? Like who?
Well, we're talking Elon Musk, Donald Trump, Joe Biden, Barack Obama, even Mark Zuckerberg gets a mention.
I see. So it's not just some vague they, it's calling out specific individuals. These are people who are often seen as symbols of power and influence.
Exactly. And the text argues that they're all part of the problem. Regardless of their political affiliation, they're all ultimately looking out for themselves and their own interests.
That's a pretty bold claim, but I can see how it would resonate with people, especially those who are feeling disillusioned with the current state of affairs. It's easy to look around and feel like the system is rigged against you, like those in power are making decisions that benefit them while everyone else is left to struggle.
And this is where that concept of controlled opposition comes in. Have you heard of this?
Oh yeah, I'm familiar with the term. It's the idea that those in power deliberately create or exploit divisions within society to distract people from the real issues. They keep us arguing about things like left versus right or race or religion, so we don't notice that they're all working together to maintain the status quo.
Right. So all these hot button issues that we get so worked up about, they're just distractions. And while we're busy fighting amongst ourselves, they're laughing all the way to the bank.
Well, I wouldn't say they're necessarily laughing, but it is a way to maintain control. If people are focused on fighting each other, they're less likely to unite and challenge those in power.
Okay, so if this is the game that's being played, what can we do about it? Because anger.txt doesn't just dwell on the problem. It also offers a solution.
Right. It shifts from anger and frustration to a call to action. Like wake up, see the game for what it is, and my favorite, flip the board.
Flip the board. That's a good one. So what does it mean?
Well, it's about recognizing the manipulation and then choosing to step outside of the game. It's about reclaiming our power, refusing to be pawns in their game.
But how do we actually do that? Because it's one thing to say flip the board, but it's another thing entirely to actually do it.
Right. And this is where the idea of unity comes in. Because while those in power thrive on division, our strength lies in coming together. The text argues that our power doesn't come from their permission. It comes from recognizing our collective strength.
Okay, I see. So it's not about asking nicely for a seat at the table. It's about building our own table.
Exactly. We have to stop playing by their rules and start creating our own. And that can only happen when we come together and work together towards a common goal.
Yeah. And I think history has shown us that time and time again. Every major social movement, from the civil rights movement to the fight for women's suffrage, it's all been about people coming together and demanding change.
Right. And those movements weren't easy. They faced immense opposition. But they persevered because they understood the power of unity. And they achieved incredible things.
So I think we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about distrust of authority, the potential for manipulation, and the importance of awareness and unity. But the big question that anger.txt leaves us with is, if our strength truly lies in unity, What are the practical steps we can take to bridge the divides and work towards a more equitable future? I mean, that's a pretty big question.
It is. It is. And I don't think there's one easy answer, but I do think it starts with awareness, recognizing the ways in which we're being divided and manipulated. And then it's about actively seeking out and connecting with people who are different from us, building bridges of understanding and empathy.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So ditch the echo chamber, get out there and talk to people who might have different viewpoints. It might be uncomfortable, but it's necessary if we want to create real change.
Absolutely. And remember, change doesn't happen overnight. It's a process. But it's a process that's worth fighting for.
Well said. Well said. So, to all our listeners out there, anger.txt might not have all the answers, but it certainly raises some important questions. So keep thinking, keep questioning, and keep fighting for a better future.
We'll see you on our next deep dive.
See you then!